Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, matchup, breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the games. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, to political props. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome to Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast, and tell all of your Arizona Cardinal fans and friends to do the same. You can also watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, my brother Ed Smith?
Well, we are here to celebrate that 17-15 victory, bruh. It doesn't matter how you win, just as long as you win. So, yeah, we're going to dive into it. You'll be interested to get your thoughts, see if they match up with mine on the game here. But, yeah, Cardinals bring it home.
Hey, yes, indeed. Cardinals bring it home. We do this thing 2 times a week. This is one of those interesting weeks because of the Monday night game and all that stuff. So we'll be bringing you 2 episodes as we always do. Typically, it's on Monday. We talk about the game that was, and then on Thursday, we talk about the upcoming game. So we'll be bringing you another episode on Friday of this week as the Cardinals are coming off of a short week now because of the Monday night game. But yes, the Arizona Cardinals were victorious in a wonderfully played and executed game. So 17-15 game on Monday night against the Chargers as they came into State Farm Stadium. I'm going to say this. I'll be relying mostly on your eyeballs. I listened to the game, a little bit of a protest. And before I get into the protest real quick, I do want to say for those who happen to be watching us on YouTube, I got a little bit of paint here. I think we're a little darker than I wanted to on this paint. The paint, and for those who know, they know when I say paint, that means you darken up, you just cover up some of those grays. We went a little bit heavy on that black. I know I'm black, but good Lord. So having said that, the Cardinals are victorious. They're now 3-4. They're in as has been mentioned a couple of times. In the aftermath of the game or after the week was over, that this is a muddy NFC West. But it is what it is. The Cardinals are still in the thick of it, even at 3-4. But this was a messy game as I was listening to it. And the reason I said I'm protesting, there's all this stuff with the streaming. You got to stream. You mentioned this a couple times on not only here on Bleav, but also in the other podcasts that we do. Sometimes you got to throw your hands up. Now, I threw my hands up when Peacock was saying, we're going to go ahead and make you pay for some of this stuff. And that's when I kind of threw my hands up. But I'm not paying for ESPN Plus just to watch this game, to sign up and then have to remember to opt out, and then I know I'll forget to opt out and all that stuff. But so I listened to the game.
Can I correct you on this one?
The game? Yes, go ahead.
You and a whole bunch of people miscalculated on this one because it was our home game. It was our local game. It was actually on local TV.
I thought it might have been, but I didn't even feel like I kept hearing that you have to be on the ESPN Plus.
Yeah, because for everybody out of our market, they can't take our local game from us. So we actually got to see it on local TV. Everybody else around the country had to have ESPN Plus to watch it. So I actually watched it on regular Fox, I think it was, or ABC or whichever it was. It was just on regular TV. The other one was on ESPN. So I had the split screen going.
And that game was that was a definitive game. There was beat down going on over on the other game.
Yeah, that one, interestingly enough, though, started off 10-0 to the Buccaneers side, and I was like, holy cow. And then the tide turned, bro, and it was a mollywop.
Yes,
when it was all
indeed.
said and done.
So this game, going into it, we were some of the keys in terms of making sure that we run the ball, trying to keep the ball away from the Chargers, because the Chargers are going to want to run. And then, ironically enough, when you look at some of the quarterbacks numbers from Herbert, I mean, he ended up throwing the ball a lot because of kind of what the Cardinals defense was doing. But as you were watching this game, and as I was listening to it, what did we learn? What did we learn from the Cardinals in this game?
For me, I learned that they can be as inconsistent as I continue to preach. Good approach to the game. And I'll say this, a win is a win in the NFL.
Yes.
But by right, we should have lost this game. Herbert, the Chargers came out, and it was almost they did everything bass backwards. Instead of running the ball like they do, we either stopped it or they just came in with a different game plan. They unleashed Herbert on us to a certain degree because he threw for 349 yards.
Just as you dropped him from your team.
But it didn't matter though, because he didn't punch anything across the goal line. So all those yards are meaningless. That's like, not brushing your teeth and just gargling some mouthwash. I mean, are you really taking care of the problem? I mean, that's a short-term thing. You got to brush them things, bro. You can't just gargle real quick. Breath might be okay for a little bit, but man, before you know it, you got that gingivitis. So I mean, so those were empty calories, if you ask me. All those passing yards, they did not punch it across, which they should have. They came up with every single way they possibly could to give us that game. There was the bomb reception that the receiver caught on the 5-yard line, got it punched out. Ball goes, instead of going out of bounds, it goes through the end zone for a touchback for the Cardinals. Okay, good thing. Kyler Murray throws an interception to a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
And this dude, I mean, tries to turn on Herschel Walker, and next you know, he's getting it peanut punched out about 10 yards away. We recover it, and even better situation, we get a first down out of it. So, and then, like I said, Herbert and them, they ran the ball, or threw the ball up and down the field, and could not punch it in at any. They settled for 5 field goals. We fortunately had 2 touchdowns and 1 field goal. So we won the game 17-15. You asked me what I got from this game as far as the Cardinals. You got a gift. It wasn't, it's not like I'm still looking for our franchise quarterback to be explosive. I'm looking for them to someday eventually get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved in this offense. It is getting painful to watch out there. And I'm starting to wonder, is it him, or is it the offense? Is it Murray not seeing him? Something's going on when 6 targets, 3 catches for 21 yards, and nothing, absolutely nothing dynamic or, like makes you think, wow, they're really seeing it together and, explosiveness. And I mean, I'm still waiting. We got the dub, which is a good thing, because in the end, like I said, it's all about wins and losses in the league. But if you're asking me, was I impressed by this victory? And here's the thing, as media, we can't have it both ways, honestly. We can't expect them to win, but also show us, because like I said, a dub is a dub. I'm just looking at, is this sustainable though? This style of football, and you catch a break here or there and you win a game like this against 3/4 of the other league. Now, if anything, I'm disappointed in the Chargers. You talk about Harbaugh really has not put his stamp on this thing yet. And we're not Chargers fans here. We're Cardinals fans. But I expected more from them coming in here. And, they came in with whatever, game plan they had. They either backed off it or came in with a totally different game plan, which allowed us to stay in this game, capitalize on their mistakes, and win the ball game. The only problem for me, this type of play that we have right now, where our quarterback is 14 out of 26 for 144 yards, 145 yards. Can't see my 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It's not sustainable. We need more, especially when I continue to say, Jay, this is a team and an organization that really doesn't have anything to lose. So why aren't we, you know, just wide open, going to getting it every now and then, turning Marvin Harrison loose against their secondary deep, some trick plays. We did use Murray a couple times in the run game, but then we go away from it so quickly. How can you have success with something, continue to see it when you flash it? It looks good because nobody can really stop it when he
Mhm.
decides, and then you just go away from it and we don't see it again for the rest of a game or for 2 weeks at a time and stuff like that. I just don't understand this. So I'm still trying to figure out where this offense, the just overall play. Now defense, they stepped up. They actually
You got
they
it.
they
If
stepped
we
up.
talk about, so yes, there's that and we'll get into that because I want your input on some of the things offensively, and you mentioned one of the position groups that I want to focus on. But when you hold the opponent to 59 yards rushing, a 2 point, what is it, 2.7 yards per rush average, that's commendable. Even though when we talk about that, what Gardeck is lost for the season because of an MCL, ACL. So those are the injuries keep on piling up, but there has to be, from Nick Rollis's standpoint, some pride from what the defensive unit did.
Absolutely. And especially when you look at what we thought the game plan of the Chargers was going to be, we thought they were going to come here and just try to run it down our throat. So we did something that discouraged them early, and they really never got into a groove or went back to the running game, which is apparent. Maybe they just discovered that, hey, we can pick these guys apart with the passing game because they obviously put up some yards, but we kept them out of the end zone. But whether that be by luck with a couple plays and stuff like that, that's all part of the game. But somehow, some way, our defense, you got to commend them for their effort offensively. Like I said, it's a victory, but golly, I'm still not seeing anything in terms of like long term. What does this look like? What is the identity? We keep throwing that word around. Can they be consistent? They're consistent at being inconsistent. So I'm glad we got the W. How encouraged am I? Yeah, like I said, it's week to week with these Cardinals until we see them string a few of these together. And I'm not saying a few W's. I'm saying even just consistent efforts. We have the ability to go over to Miami, which we'll talk about later in the week, and look like we've never played a game again. And
Right.
unfortunately for us, it's bad timing because they're getting their quarterback back. The other teams have been able for the past 4 weeks have been able to just pick the Miami Dolphins like a carcass land in the middle of the road out here in the desert. Just,
Right.
a buzzard just down there picking it apart because all their weapons are useless without one Tua Tagovailoa. Now, all of a sudden, our bad luck, we couldn't get him a week earlier. We're getting him when he's getting right back into the lineup. So that means Tyreek Hill, Waddle, all of them, they're looking to break out because they've been in witness protection for the last few weeks. So we'll see what happens when we go down there. But like I said, the thing for me is consistently inconsistent. That's what I'll say.
All right. So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals presented by Bet Online. I do want to ask about James Conner, but before we get to that, tell me, because you on the junior college level, you were a position coach for a while. Tell me, what is the job of a position coach, and then more specifically, as you go into that, when we're looking at if a player or maybe even a position group is not performing as well as you would expect, how can how can the coach be able to be able to get that player or those players to have more to get closer to their ceiling as opposed to their floor? And I'm talking, of course, about the receivers. We've talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. locally. This has been a cause for concern that that he's not as advertised in the sense of being so dynamic. And so what? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the main thing that the position coach does, he's the extension of the offensive coordinator, meaning when the offense comes together, it's first done as a whole because we want to introduce the game plan. This is what we're looking to do. This is what our focus is. Then each individual room they kind of break apart to then figure out our role in this week's game plan and how we fit into it and what we're looking to do as far as execution. These are our different attack modes. In the run game, we're going to use you guys like let's say it's tight ends. You guys are going to be off. Our one guy is going to be on the ball a lot. We're going to flex him out a lot. Our two, which might be our H, we're going to have you in motion. We're going to have you in the backfield. A lot of lead blocking, a lot of this, secondary routes, et cetera, et cetera. So you're breaking everything down as far as individually for our group for the game plan. And then it's all about, the practice and execution portion of it, where you, like I said, you get in the film room. These are, who we're going to get up against this week. These are the routes, the best, the things that we might be able to highlighted, and then it, quite honestly, it's all up to the position coach to fight for his group as well, in terms of, there were times when we go into a room and it was like, damn, are we just offensive linemen this week? They keep us in, we're going to do a whole lot of staying in and blocking and this and that. Well, coach, we don't get paid to just stand here and block, so coach might be able to, a good one could go back into the meeting room and say, look, we got to get these guys a little more involved. Obviously, instead of keeping them in full time, let's chip and then get them out. Or, our offensive line. There were times when I was, I'm looking at the game plan, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I staying in to help or take on defense? Isn't that what we have tackles for? Well, you're a better blocker. I'm like, that's not what I do. That's not my job. So you need to tell that tackle right there, instead of asking for help or having me do his dirty work, he needs to man up and take care of this so I can go out and get routes. And there were times you'd fight for it and you'd get it because your tight end coach would go in and say, look, every time we turn around, I remember one year we had this particular call, and it was whenever the tackle felt like maybe the DN was too far out in the 9 or whatever, he could call Yankee, and that meant I had to stay in. So every damn pass play, Yankee, Yankee. And I got to a point, I went in, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to hear that anymore. That's what you get paid to do. You get paid to block that dude, not me. And I had to actually argue with my tight ends coach, who then went into the room to argue for me. And so there's, a lot of that goes on. And then, like I said, it's all about, from there, it's all about corrections and getting the guys to be the best version of themselves in the game plan. And you I know you have another question as far as the wide receivers. Go ahead and ask that one.
So if you see that your rookie, let's say your star rookie wide receiver, is not adjusting as well as you would think, what can or what should a coach do to maybe increase their confidence, to be able to get them to execute and be explosive as advertised?
Well, one of the things you got to do is go to the offensive coordinator, and they all see it on tape and on film, they see it on the film. And now in those meeting rooms when they're watching and they're wondering, well, why is he not getting it? Well, we might have to simplify this a little bit of this for him. And as far as getting his confidence, we got to call a couple routes where he is the number one read, and we let him know that. You got to beat covers, press covers, or you got to figure out if this is zone or whatever, this ball is coming to you unless you don't get off coverage. So you got to encourage them a little bit. I need more from you, man. I got to get you, 12 up the field and across, because this ball, in all intents and purposes, is meant for you. So you start designing some more things, and that goes with the offensive coordinator. If you have a weapon and it's not being utilized and used, you also have to get back to the bare basics of, well, we got a rookie here. He's not as polished as Larry Fitzgerald was late in his career. So I might have to be a little more intentional in, some short routes for him, some stuff that I know that we can guarantee get him the ball, to get him going, to keep him engaged. I saw a couple plays, bro, where I don't know whether he just realized he was on the backside and wasn't getting the ball, but I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. come off the ball like he was playing flag football on a Saturday at the park. It didn't look like an NFL wide receiver busting off the line. And like I said, maybe because he knew the ball wasn't coming his way, but they showed him a couple times where I didn't see that fire off the ball. That's one of the things that I would have to correct, because I would tell any wide receiver, just because it's intended to go the other way, what happens if we get stopped over there and our quarterback gets flushed and all of a sudden he's coming your way? I need you hot and ready to go. I can't have to, worry about putting you in the microwave. I need you hot and ready to go right now. So those are some of the things they need to talk to him about. Every single play when you come off the ball, expect to get the ball. Even if you're not intentionally, if it's not intended for you, you got to be firing off just in case. And I'm not seeing that right now. Some of that might be, with his confidence and stuff like that. But that's coachable. That's all coachable. That's, hey, we're watching it now. But the one thing we all know what'll happen, they'll watch the film and they don't want to upset their wide receivers. So even though it was away from him, they don't say anything about it. The good coaches are like, the good ones, they got that clicker, and that thing will be fast forward and rewound 30 times. And the great ones will show it, and they won't even say a word. They'll just play it forward, play it back. Everybody, I want y'all to watch this right now. Yo, I don't even have to tell you what you're watching. Play it forward, play it back. Play it forward, play it back. I'm gonna show you from the end zone. Play it forward, play it back. And before long, the message is kind of, I think we all know what we're watching here. Marvin, I need more from you right here. I don't expect this ever again on film. Those are tough kind of conversations you got to start having with this.
Let's
young
unpack that for a second, and I'm glad that you went there. Is it because, or as we're just kind of just theorizing here, coaches that don't do that, is that because whether it's the coordinator, position coach, whatever it is, that they're I was going to say afraid, but there's something that's holding them back from being the coach that they should be to be able to improve that player? Because I can think of all kinds of reasons a coach would say, no, he got it. He understands. It's not apples to apples, but I remember my son, my youngest son, I thought he had this math down. He got math down. He's smart. He got it. I don't have to worry about it. He got it. And he got a couple of grades back, a couple of quizzes and tests. I said, what's going on, son? I don't understand it. I thought he had it. Then I tried to teach him. I wasn't connecting with him properly. We had to kind of take it from the foundation, as you mentioned, kind of take a step back, then build him up to understand best how he engages with the content, with the lesson plan, and then there were leaps and bounds of growth. But what I'm asking is it a coach that's saying I can't have the conflict in that way with the star guy who could shut down on me? Because I think of Haley. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. He was the offensive coordinator that really unlocked Larry Fitzgerald to be a great blocking wide receiver, and just to really be able to go and high point balls and do a lot of wonderful things to maximize his skill set. There has to be somebody like that to be able to do this for Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, and the tricky part about it, Jay, is every across this land that we got so many different coaching staffs, and we got different coaches at different times in their careers. And, not everybody is bold enough to take the number one pick and tell him, like maybe break him down a little bit in front of everybody. Some guys are scared of veterans. Some coaches don't give a damn. You walk in their meeting room as their meeting room, and what I say up in here goes. Otherwise, I'll give me some different dudes that will, So right now you're looking at a young receiver like Marvin, and it's almost like they almost expected him, because of all the hype, he was ready-made. It was like,
we don't got to teach you. You should already know.
Nothing. Yeah. And that's not the case. These rookies, they come in there's a few. You get Jamar Chase and a couple of them come in a familiar situation with his, college quarterback. He's comfortable right away. He's got the attitude. That's the one thing let's bring this up real quick.
Okay.
The diva wide receiver position. Most of those guys, you can't shut them up, for one. They come in the room, every play they run, they're open. They like to shine on them. I have not heard a word from Marvin Harrison since he got here, in terms of, and that's good and bad, because I don't need the diva in him, but I would like a little little flair in him, a little flash. You
Mm.
know, a little he's almost the epitome of his dad. He comes in, it's like he just wants to do his job, be a great wide receiver. But at the same time, I need a little something from you, young man. A little emotion, a little, maybe like I said, I don't need the diva, but I want a little flash from you. Emotionless is not always the best thing. I mean, and I don't know whether he's enjoying playing right now, whether he's excited about it, or he's still confused, because it's hard to be, maybe macho and stuff like that and show all the bravado when you're not quite sure about your
That's true.
surrounding.
That's
And
true.
he just doesn't seem comfortable out there. And he was never a showboaty, player even in college. But at that position, like I said, it was almost like everybody expected him to come here and just like boop, just put that piece right there and just go out there. And it's not been the case.
Yeah.
And some of it might need to be more coached out of him. And I would dare say, if I'm his tight end or wide receivers coach, I might have a one-on-one with him and be like, look, Marvin, I know you're a very respectful kid, and you got to remember when you're out there on the field, everybody's watching you, meaning even the other team. And if they feel like they can just quiet you down and keep the thumb on top of you, you got to get up, man. You got to, maybe I need you pushing and shoving a little more out there. Something. There's got to be something in there that we got to get out. And that's all coaching. That is coaching, because you're not going to get it out of him organically, because that's just not his nature. So you got to find a way to dig in there and figure out where this fire is. And I don't know, maybe it's more intensity at practices. Maybe we need some of these DBs to start calling him out, and maybe that stokes a fire in him. Come on, rookie, let's go. And then, and then he gets out there, because I guarantee you, out there on the field, some of those DBs, like, start watching, Jay, when he's out there and they try to make a play to him and they don't. Some of these, they'll get right up next to you, and then they're talking all kind of stuff.
He didn't see you. I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna throw it to you, man.
And I mean, I need him to push back or something. I'm not seeing it right now. It's just, that's coaching. And then the other thing, Jay, it's also having a mentor in the room with you, a player mentor, meaning an older wide receiver that maybe you guys, we watch film together and we go eat later on. And young man, I need to teach you a couple things. These dudes out there trying to take your heart. They're trying to take food off your plate, off your table. You can, you got to need a little more. So something's missing, whether it be coaching, players, veteran players helping him coach. He's not finding a way by himself. And until this is corrected, we're going to see more of this 3 for 21 and stuff like that, because I dare say it's a weapon that's not being utilized to its fullest. And they somehow, some way, they got to unlock that mystery of, how do we get him going? And it's not just about getting him balls. It's about getting his mind and everything up to speed as well. And his bravado about how he's doing his job.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, presented by Bet Online. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. So the opposite side of the spectrum is one James Conner that plays with there's so much passion and passion and emotion in how he plays. I'm trying not to make this one of those leading questions, because I hate those leading questions, but how important is James Conner to this Cardinals team?
He's the heart of this team, and especially this offense. And I wonder, like, when you give him the ball sometime and you see him plowing through people and, he getting up, and that right there will sparks fire. And, for me, and I wonder how we can, like, the coaching staff can see that, and then go away from it. That's why it's such a big mystery. Those games when we look back, and it's like, well, Conner touched the ball for 12 times for 48 yards. When you have that right there, that's like not being able to light the charcoal, but you're trying to do it without the lighter fluid, right? You got the lighter fluid. Why you got the lighter fluid to spark, so I don't have to sit down and wait for charcoal to burn for 45 minutes. Oh, I get, bro, how many times you done this, Jay? I mean, you about to burn the damn house down, but you got lighter fluid, and that's what it's for. It's the spark. So every time I see them, these games where they get away from using Connor, it's like, I mean, you got this beautiful thing, that can spark your offense, and when you need it most, it's like you just put it on the shelf. I'm just gonna light this charcoal and see if I can get it to burn all by itself. No, and
yeah.
I just can't figure it out. He is the heart and soul of this team, and why not use him? He should be used there shouldn't be a game where he doesn't have 20 plus touches.
Right.
And he's also a decent receiver too. He should touch the ball, 20 plus times, just carrying it alone, and then get him a couple screens in here and there. 30 times a game, he should have the ball in his hands.
Yeah. It almost makes me think of, there were times when in previous regimes, I'm thinking of Larry Fitzgerald, when Arians came in, the first thing he wanted to do was to try to almost banish, in a way, Larry Fitzgerald, and didn't understand how important Larry is to the team, or was to the team, and just the overall, the confidence and the bravado that you had mentioned earlier. And if you look at James Conner, ever since he's been here, even when under the previous regime of Cliff Kingsbury, you saw what his impact is. So why would you go away from that? And that, to your point, and I'm not saying he's on the same talent level, but I will say the what he brings, that it factor that he brings to a team, is similar to when you think of a when you think of a King Henry, when you think of what's going on at the Ravens, and before, when he was with the Titans, when you think of what Saquon Barkley can be. It's those types of players, those types of running backs that you don't come across all the time. So when you have them, and because their shelf life is smaller, you want to be able to maximize it, because that might be able to positively impact your team.
They are the engine. That list of players that you just talked about, they are the engine. They are what makes the thing roll. And I'll say this, they make the thing roll downhill. They make it that much easier on you when that running game is going. And you see how, like, when Connor has a run, it doesn't just excite the team, it excites the stadium. The fans, they see him barreling down and, getting the extra yards. And you know how demoralizing it is, Jay, for a defense when they know you're going to run the ball and you give it to Connor and he, 10, 12 yards down the field, he's, barking it up and that's demoralizing for a defense. And we, like I said, we don't utilize it much. We try to get too cute. We ran a play. We did something I wish I could remember too. We did something where I think it was a trick play that we tried to run, and the announcer said it was like that was a play that we were going to run regardless, just because no circumstance or situation was like, well, we're just running plays just to run them. And that, for me, how many times have I said you got to do everything with purpose?
Right.
It was almost like we're running the ball so effectively with Connor. Why get away from that? We ran some trick play at whatever it was, and it was like, well, we had that one in the bag. We had to do it just because. No, you got to do everything because of intent. And I'm still trying to figure out what our intent is sometime. When we get away from running Connor, there are missed opportunities to, like I said, to inspire the team, to extend drives, to do so many different things. And you hope that this game is just another piece of evidence to them. Hey, maybe we should do that more often.
Yeah. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. So again, congratulations for the Cardinals, because I don't mind eating some grow. That's all good to me. Now, what can we do to start stacking those wins and to build that consistency, the identity, and we said purpose as well. So as always, we are presented by Bet Online. We do this thing twice a week. We'll be hitting you again with another episode on Friday. Tell a friend about what we have going on here. And as always, again, we are presented by Bet Online. And as we always say around this time, you can.